16-year-old Emma clutched her brother's hand as their cruel aunt threw them onto the cold streets. Your parents left nothing but debts, Patricia lied, hiding the truth about their $90 million inheritance. What she didn't know was that Emma would soon discover her deadly secret. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The rain fell hard on the old house as Emma held her little brother's hand tightly. At 16 she had become the only family 8-year-old Max had left. Their parents had died in a car accident just 2 weeks ago, and now they stood in the living room they had called home, facing their Aunt Patricia. I'm sorry, children, but I simply cannot afford to keep you both, Aunt Patricia said coldly, not looking them in the eyes. She was a tall, thin woman with sharp features and an even sharper tongue. This house needs to be sold to pay for your parents' debts. Emma's heart sank. But Aunt Patricia, we have nowhere else to go. Can't we stay just a little longer until? Until what? Patricia snapped. Until you find some magical solution? Your parents left nothing but bills and problems. I've already contacted the authorities. They'll find you a place in foster care. Max started crying quietly. Emma pulled him closer, feeling tears burn her own eyes. Please, we'll work hard. We won't cause any trouble. Patricia's face remained cold as stone. My decision is final. You have until tomorrow morning to pack your things and leave. That night, Emma packed their few belongings into 2 small bags. She found her mother's jewelry box and her father's old watch, the only valuable things they owned. Max clutched his teddy bear, the one their mother had given him on his last birthday. Emma, where will we sleep tomorrow? Max whispered. Emma forced a smile she didn't feel. Don't worry, Max. I'll take care of you. We'll be okay. But deep inside she was scared too. The next morning, Patricia practically pushed them out the door. Emma and Max found themselves standing on the sidewalk with their 2 bags, watching their childhood home disappear behind them. For the first few days, they stayed in a small motel using the little money Emma had saved from her part-time job. But when the money ran out, they had no choice but to sleep in parks and under bridges. Emma found work cleaning tables at a small cafe, but it barely paid enough for food. Max tried to be brave, but Emma could see how thin he was getting. His clothes hung loose on his small frame, and his bright smile had faded. I'm hungry, Emma, Max whispered one cold night as they huddled together under a cardboard box behind a grocery store. I know, buddy. Tomorrow I'll get more work and we'll have a proper meal, Emma promised, though she didn't know how. During the day, Max would sit quietly in the cafe while Emma worked. The cafe owner, Mrs. Chin, was kind but could only afford to pay Emma minimum wage for a few hours each day. Sometimes she would give them leftover sandwiches, which felt like a feast. Weeks turned into months. Emma lost weight and looked older than her 16 years. Max stopped talking about going to school and started collecting bottles and cans to help earn money. Both children were tired, hungry, and losing hope. One rainy evening, they were sitting in the public library to stay warm when Max looked up at Emma with his big, sad eyes. Do you think Mama and Papa are watching us? He asked. Emma felt her heart break a little more. I think they are, Max. And I think they're proud of how brave you've been. I miss them so much. Me too, Emma whispered, holding him close. One day, while Emma was cleaning tables at the cafe, she overheard 2 men in expensive suits talking at a corner table. The Patterson case is getting complicated, one man said. We've been trying to locate the heirs for months now. Patterson? The other man replied. The old businessman who died and left that huge fortune? I heard it was worth over $90 million. Emma's hands froze. Patterson was their mother's maiden name. She moved closer, pretending to clean nearby tables. Yes, Richard Patterson. He had no direct children, so the inheritance should go to his brother's family. But we can't locate them anywhere. What was the brother's name again? David Patterson. He had 2 children with his wife Susan. The family seemed to have disappeared after David and Susan died in that car accident. Emma's heart started racing. David Patterson was her father. She quickly wrote down what she could remember from their conversation and rushed to find Max. Max, I think we might have family money, she whispered excitedly. That evening, they went to the library and used the computer to search for information about Richard Patterson. What they found made Emma gasp. Uncle Richard had been a successful businessman who owned several companies. When he died 6 months ago, he had left his entire fortune to his brother's children, to Emma and Max. But how is this possible? Emma wondered aloud. Why didn't anyone find us? She kept reading and discovered the truth. Their Aunt Patricia had been contacted about the inheritance, but she had told the lawyers that the children had died in the same accident as their parents. She had provided fake death certificates and claimed the inheritance should go to her as the closest living relative. Emma felt sick. Patricia had thrown them out to live on the streets while stealing their inheritance. The next day, Emma marched into the law office of Morrison and Associates, holding Max's hand. They looked out of place in their worn clothes among the polished furniture and well-dressed people. "I need to speak to someone about the Patterson inheritance," Emma told the receptionist firmly. The receptionist looked at them with doubt. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but I am Emma Patterson and this is my brother Max. We are the rightful heirs." Within minutes, they were sitting across from Mr. Morrison himself, a kind-looking older man with gray hair and gentle eyes. "Young lady, we were told that both Patterson children died with their parents," he said carefully. Emma's eyes flashed with anger. "That's a lie. Our Aunt Patricia told you that so she could steal our money." She told him their whole story, about their parents' death, Patricia throwing them out, and the months they had spent on the streets. Mr. Morrison listened with growing concern and anger. "Do you have any proof of your identity?" he asked gently. Emma pulled out their birth certificates, school records, and photos of their family that she had kept safe in her bag. Mr. Morrison examined everything carefully. "My God," he whispered. "You children have been living on the streets while your aunt has been collecting money that belongs to you." He immediately called the police and started legal proceedings against Patricia. It turned out she had already received over $2 million from the inheritance and had bought herself a luxury house and car. Patricia was arrested within a week. When the police found her, she was living in a mansion, wearing expensive clothes and jewelry bought with Emma and Max's money. During the court hearing, Patricia tried to claim she thought the children were dead. But the evidence was clear. She had lied to the lawyers and forged documents to steal the inheritance. "You threw two innocent children onto the streets to live like animals," the judge said sternly. "While they were hungry and cold, you were spending their money on luxury. This is one of the cruelest cases I have ever seen." Patricia was sentenced to 10 years in prison for fraud and theft. All the money she had stolen was ordered to be returned, plus additional compensation for the suffering she had caused. Emma and Max sat in the courtroom, hardly believing that justice was finally being served. Mr. Morrison became like a grandfather to Emma and Max. He helped them navigate their new life and made sure they understood their finances. The $90 million inheritance was safely invested, providing them with more money than they could ever spend. Their first priority was finding a proper home. They bought a beautiful house with a big garden where Max could play safely. Emma enrolled Max back in school and hired tutors to help him catch up on the education he had missed. Emma decided to finish her own education too. She enrolled in high school again and later planned to go to college. But she never forgot where they had come from. "I want to help other kids like us," she told Mr. Morrison one day. "What do you have in mind?" he asked with a smile. "A shelter for children who have nowhere to go. A place where they can be safe and loved while they figure out their lives." Mr. Morrison's eyes lit up. "That's a wonderful idea, Emma." Within a year, Emma had established the Patterson Foundation, a charity that provided shelter, food, education, and support for homeless children. The first shelter was built in the same neighborhood where she and Max had once slept under bridges. Mrs. Chun from the cafe was one of the first people Emma visited with her good news. The kind woman cried happy tears when she learned what had happened. "You always had strength in your heart," Mrs. Chun said, hugging Emma tightly. "I knew good things would come to you." Emma offered to buy Mrs. Chun a new, bigger cafe, but the humble woman refused. "Just promise me you'll remember where you came from," she said. "I promise," Emma replied. "I'll never forget." Max, now 9 years old and healthy again, had returned to being the cheerful, bright boy he had been before their parents died. He excelled in school and loved helping Emma with the foundation. "Do you think Mama and Papa would be proud of us?" he asked one evening as they watched children playing in the garden of their new shelter. Emma smiled, remembering the scared little boy who used to ask the same question when they lived on the streets. Now he was confident and happy again. "I know they would be, Max. We survived the worst thing that could happen to us and we used it to help others." That's exactly what they would have wanted. 5 years later, the Patterson Foundation had opened 12 shelters across the country and had helped over 3,000 children find safety, education, and new families. Emma, now 21, was studying law to better help children in difficult situations. Max, at 13, was an honor student who spent his weekends volunteering at the shelters, reading stories to younger children and sharing his own experience of hope. They never forgot the cold nights under bridges, the hunger, or the fear. But they also never forgot the strength they found in each other and the kindness of people like Mrs. Chen and Mr. Morrison. Patricia was still in prison, where she would remain for several more years. Sometimes Emma wondered if she felt any regret for what she had done. But mostly, Emma focused on the future and the children they were helping. "Our hardest times taught us our greatest lesson," Emma often told the children at the shelters. "Family isn't just about blood. It's about who stands by you when everything falls apart. And no matter how dark things seem, there's always hope for a better tomorrow." The Patterson Foundation's motto, written in golden letters above every shelter entrance, read, "From darkness to light, from despair to hope, from lost to found." Emma and Max Patterson had not only reclaimed their stolen inheritance, they had transformed their pain into purpose, their suffering into service, and their tragedy into triumph. They proved that even when life seems hopeless, love, determination, and justice can light the way home.